I'm actually looking at a mosquito.
Did the music play? Oh, well, we didn't hear it. I'm sorry. Hi, welcome to End Credits, our second live stream. We're here in our virtual studio with our guest tonight, Aaron Ginsburg, who is the supervising producer and a writer on the TV series on the CW, The 100. We're saying it right this time?
It's actually The 100.
Yes, in the first season we were told it was The 100, and then we have been corrected since.
Yes, I think it was the book that it was originally based on is called The 100, and then when it turned into a television show, the logo is the numbers, just for, it looks better. Mm. And I think people naturally started calling it The 100 at that point, but it's actually The 100.
Okay. I believe the first time we interviewed a writer duo that was on the first season, and they were being told it was the 100.
It was the 100, and we were told that was the way it was supposed to be said.
Because being Canadian, we automatically went the 100.
Yeah.
and they corrected us and said, no, it's adamant that it is the 100. And then ever since we've interviewed anybody afterwards, it's the 100. We never know what to say anymore.
Well, I'll accept both. I accept both.
It's both really the same thing.
But naturally, of course, the nature of the show, the numbers have changed so many times.
Yes, that's true. That is very true.
I don't even know if there are 100 kids left.
Not even close.
No.
It's just a handful and a whole bunch of zombie grown-ups now. So how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited to be here, and thanks for having me on.
Well, we're very excited to have you on. It's great. We just had somebody else on recently, and we thought it'd be very cool to have you on for our second live stream.
Exciting. I like to be a part of the groundbreaking.
Absolutely. And the show for us has always been very groundbreaking. Mm-hmm. It's always been, the first season started off very much, it was 2 separate shows, and then the second season it kind of became 3 separate shows, and now it's almost an entirely different show. Every season it's evolving.
Absolutely. That is definitely what we strive to do. Obviously, it all starts from the same core idea, and it just keeps getting bigger and broader, and we're trying to tackle, more complicated storytelling with each season as the world grows and the more we get to see of the world. And that's going to be the case as we're just about to wrap season 3. It airs tomorrow, at least in the U.S.
Yeah. Same here.
And then once we launch into season 4, that's going to be a similar. Things are going to shift once again.
And everybody's happy. Season 4 is happening. You start working on it on Monday, I believe you said.
Yeah, actually, some of us started today, and then officially the writer's room begins tomorrow. We're going to jump into it as quickly as we can, yeah.
Nice.
The day of the finale, we're going to be doing our first day in the writer's room.
Wow, that's exciting. Do you know when it will start airing next year?
They definitely have not announced it, but it'll probably be similar to when it was this year, which I think was
around February.
In February, yeah. That's a good bet. That would be when it is.
Excellent. Well, we usually start off talking about your breaking in story. And we're very interested to talk about your involvement in the Thrilling Adventure Hour. I'm a big fan of that, and we had Ben Blacker on a couple of years ago.
And you were also part of Intelligence as well, which is
that is true.
Was a fairly popular series.
Pilot shot in Canada.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Well, my breaking in story.
So I have to ask, your Twitter handle is Dr. Lawyer Cop. Does that involve your past somehow?
It does. I'll tell that story first before the breaking in story. Well, they're kind of related. So basically, I've tried TV's hard to get into, which I'm sure when you spoke to other TV writers, it's a very competitive medium, and there's just not enough jobs to go around for how many people who want to do it and who are passionate about television and who are passionate about writers. So it takes a lot of diligence and persistence and, frankly, cascades of heartbreak time in and time in as you try to find your way through it. And so I went through a series of insane jobs when I first moved to Los Angeles, trying to get my foot into a TV writing job. And I work with a writing partner, and we've been producing partners for about 15 years. And our first break was in reality television, which at the time we were like, well, it has the word television in the name so that's kind of like writing TV. But we ended up writing a bunch of really crappy dating shows for MTV.
Nice.
And it was a little soul sucking, but
A little Beauty and the Geek.
that was the era, but unfortunately not as clever or as classy as that one. We dabbled in such MTV gems like Date My Mom. I don't know if you remember that one. Wanna Come In, which is Next. Everyone knows Next. And then we ended up writing and producing about 300 episodes of a show called Ninja Warrior, which
nice.
now it's still going. But we were doing it when it was on a network called G4. We were the first people in the U.S. to do it.
Yeah.
And it was a blast, but it was not really writing. Like, it was more like assembling footage of insane athletes in Japan trying to conquer Mount Midoriyama. Wasn't that fulfilling. But the whole time we tried to get into scripted and just could not get opportunity to do so. And then a friend of mine ended up selling a pilot. We'd worked together before, and I went to college with him. And he sold a pilot that got made by Fox, and he hired myself and my writing partner to be on that staff for that show. And it was our first time in, and it was a show called The Oaks for Fox.
Okay.
And that show never saw the light of day. So it's much like any good Hollywood story. Our breaking in tale ended in abject failure when the first day of shooting that pilot landed on the day of the writer's strike. So it didn't really survive. But during during that process, that show, by the way, was a haunted house show. It was like about a creepy house, and it spanned 3 generations. It was a really, really cool idea.
I remember hearing about the pilot.
Yeah, it was a really, really great pilot and a really cool idea. And the network at the time kept saying they were nervous about it not feeling like a procedural. So they kept, because back then, it was not that many years ago, really, and back then, doing shows that weren't procedurals was kind of outside the box.
Right.
And so they kept coming back to us and saying, what if we made the main character a doctor? And then, every week while he's being haunted in the haunted house, he can also have patients that he saves. And we were like, no, absolutely not. That's not the show at all. And then the next week they'd say, well, we were thinking, what if the brother in the show was a cop? And then every week he could solve a case while his family's being haunted in this house. And we were like, no, this is absolutely not the show. Anyway, they kept going for that. And so after the show got canceled, Wade and I decided to write a pilot that took every procedural that the networks claimed they wanted and smash it into one pilot. and that pilot was called Dr. Lawyer Cop PI. It was actually a PI show. And the tagline was, "Did we mention he can cook?" And it was true absurdity. It was the most unproducible sort of stick your tongue out at the network's pilot. And it got us endless meetings, and people kept trying to figure out ways to make it into a TV show.
I totally
and we were like,
see it like an Archer type show.
Yeah.
The weird thing, we've been talking about it a lot recently because we're like, when we first wrote it, there's no way that could be a show. It's so meta, the whole way through. Because this character, he knows exactly how much pressure to put on a perp's bones to break it. But then if he goes too far, he can do some on-set medical advice, and then if he gets in trouble with the law, he can actually represent himself because he's a lawyer. It's absurd. But nowadays, I think it might there actually could be a place for it. So we've been talking about digging it up again. But that's how my Twitter handle came about. It's kind of like a playful nod to the procedural world.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I can totally see it working as something on the Cartoon Network for sure.
Yeah. the lead character's name was Dr. Jack Lawyer Cop. So we always liked it that like every show on network, their names are Jack.
Yeah.
Jack, come here, Jack. Like,
And since he is a jack of all trades.
it's right, exactly.
Yeah.
Dr. Jack, lawyer cop, PI.
My memory.
See, there's your voice for him right there.
Exactly. Oh my God, you have to do it for us.
Yes.
His partner in the show is a district attorney / supermodel. So,
And he can be a part-time lounge singer.
yeah, exactly. So that's how I got in. Was through that show that never even made it to the air, and then after that it was once again a lot of hard work to get back in to another show. So it's never easy.
But I can see with a pilot like that written how you would fit in with Ben Blacker and Ben Acker.
But yeah, the weird thing is way back in that era, I was running a theater company with a bunch of people from my undergrad out here in Los Angeles. We had been around for about 5 years, and we were doing sort of esoteric comedies for the greater Los Angeles area, a city that does not have a thriving theater scene. But we were determined to do live theater, and one of the shows that I directed was a show called Kids Simple, which was a Humana Festival play, and it's about a radio. It's kind of like a radio play. It has a Foley artist on stage, and it's a great play. It's really incredible. And at the exact same time, Acker and Blacker had started doing the live version of Thrilling Adventure Hour,
Right.
in a little tiny bar in Hollywood called M Bar, which isn't there anymore. And one of the actors on it, Paul F. Tompkins, was a friend of mine, and he told them, "Oh, I think you might want a director to direct this, rather than just hoping the actors know what they're doing every week that we do this." And so they came and saw. I think only Ben Acker. Ben Acker came and saw Kids Simple, the radio play that I had done. And afterwards asked me to come and watch one live stage episode of Thrilling Adventure Hour. And I think it was only their third or fourth that they'd ever done, and see if I would be interested in like joining the team and lending a hand. And I went and saw it, and I think like many people, I fell in love with the show, and I fell in love with their writing and the world that they were creating. And I said, yes, please sign me up. And then I directed every episode for the last 10 and a half years.
Wow.
Minus a handful, and the handful that when I was out of town, either producing for a television show or something like that. And then when I was gone, Ryan Johnson would fill in my place, the director of the next Star Wars movie. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
Quite a crazy, talented bunch in the Thrilling Adventure Hour series. I've been listening to it for, I think, about 3 or 4 years now. And
Oh, great.
so sad to see it go away.
Yes, that was really bittersweet. I mean, it's a lot of work to produce, and it's a lot of work for Acker and Blacker to write a new, basically 90-minute piece every month.
Yes.
And then there's casting, and it's just a ton of work. And after 10 years, it just got to the point where it was untenable to keep going, despite the fact that it's become a family. All of us are very, very close, and no one wanted to see it go. So.
And a rabid fan base.
Yeah, rabid, appreciative, and wonderful fan base, and so it's been a hole in all of our hearts since the monthly show has ended. But every once in a while we just did one for Earth Day. We did a Sparks, Nevada, I'm from Earth Day, and it was great, and it was so great to be back.
Fantastic.
Did you get to see it, or did we already played it?
I've listened to it.
Oh, okay, I didn't know. I never know when some of those get published to iTunes. So
Yeah, nice twist. I won't give it away.
no, don't give it away.
If people have not listened to the Thrilling Adventure Hour, they should definitely subscribe to that in iTunes. There are literally years worth of audio to listen to.
Yeah.
And it inspired us to actually start writing our own radio shows.
Oh, great!
Yes,
Yeah.
we're in the early stages of getting ready to launch our new radio play series entitled Adventure in Your Ear.
Oh, great!
And
That's fantastic.
We've written the first 2 episodes of one of the stories, and like you said, it is a lot of work.
Right? Yeah. And the thing is, the minute you start publishing those, you will feel the train leave the station. And
Yes.
it's just a lot of work to keep up on it, for
Well,
sure.
we actually just did our first live reading of it at Ottawa Comic Con on Sunday.
Oh, fantastic. And it went well?
It did, except we were a last minute entry into the con, so we played. Our show started 15 minutes after the con ended.
Yeah.
So we had the tail end of people who we could grab and
Yeah, as
come
they're
into
walking to the
theater.
parking lot. They can- This
Exactly.
way.
So we had about 20 people in the room, maybe a little more.
25.
Yeah. And we thought we lost them after the first episode.
It's like nobody's laughing.
Yeah. They didn't quite get it. And then we did our little fake ad in between. And I think it was after that they finally clued into what they were actually listening to. I think they were confused. Like, it's just four guys sitting on the stage with mics in front of them,
Yeah.
just reading, just looking at each other and not looking at the audience that much. And second episode, which we actually found when we were writing it to be the weaker episode, they were in hysterics. And like when the first episode ended, dead quiet.
Yeah.
Second episode ended and the room erupted with
Oh, that's great.
applause, and we were like, whew, we didn't blow this.
Right. I will say, because of the form, I mean, even with Thrilling Adventure Hour, when we were doing it way back at MBAR, when new people would come and see it, like, it's so different from what you're expecting to see
Yeah.
that it takes a little while to, like, settle into the language and settle into the to the storytelling technique. So that might be what you experienced there as well.
I think so, but we got the best compliment we could have possibly gotten at the very end when people were coming up to tell us how much they enjoyed it and whatnot. And one guy came up and said, "I want to know what happens next."
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
That is all
Nailed
any
it.
of us ever want. So that's fantastic. I can't wait to hear it.
Well, we're gonna put up some of the Comic-Con stuff on our Facebook page in the next couple of days.
Oh, great.
Just as a test, and we're hopefully next month going to perform the first one that we will release as a podcast eventually. And we're going to start recording at a bar every month, kind of.
Oh, great.
Just like the
Fantastic.
Thrilling Adventure Hour did.
Yeah.
We're going to start at a small bar that we know with some audience that we know who will bring people and work it up from there. But we're hopeful.
Yeah, we're hopeful.
And our main, the story we've been writing is called Claykir, Fallen Azir of Asgard. So
Fantastic.
there's a lot of, you have to know your Norse mythology to get
Yeah.
some of the humor.
Mind you, we're kind of all over the map, so
Yeah, he travels to Greece. He meets Beowulf and Grendel.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Which are a buddy team.
Yes. Beowulf and Grendel are kind of like a Lethal Weapon kind of buddy cop team.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah. So
great.
it'll be interesting. But back to you.
A little sneak peek. I like it.
Yeah. So how did you get involved with the 100? And were you involved right from the beginning?
No, I wasn't. I met with Jason, who was the creator, Jason Rothenberg, on the first season, and then we ended up Wade and I, we ended up deciding to go with Intelligence that year. That's just the way that the chips fell, and had a great time on Intelligence. But as Intelligence wrapped up its first season, it became clear that it wasn't going to be returning because it just didn't have the ratings needed, and the 100 looked like it was coming back. And Jason reached out to us again and said, I'm giving you guys a second shot. Do you want to come work for me now? And we said, yes, please. That would be wonderful, because the show had we watched it and fell in love with it like a lot of the fans. Like, the first season is it starts out like you think you know what you're going to be watching.
Yeah.
And then by episode
Yeah.
4, you're like, holy shit, this is not the show I thought it was going to be. And it's so much darker and so much more twisted. And frankly, like, who wouldn't want to write that? Like, it's really, really challenging and dark and emotional and raw and smart.
Yeah, well, I think
So-
we described the first season as like Babylon 5 in the sky, and on the ground, it's The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Yeah. Totally. And so, so I joined in season 2, and, right off the bat, I was like working with everyone else who was on the show at the time. I mean, it was just a great cast, a great group of writers. It was just a really amazing experience. and it still continues that way to this day. I mean, it's I feel very, very fortunate to be a part of this show because of it's just good. Like it's the show when I watch it, I'm like I get emotional the same way the fans get emotional. There's parts that even though I know it's coming, or I've seen it 100 times, or I wrote it, or whatever. Our actors are so good. It's just like I love it. I love the show.
Absolutely. Phenomenal actors. And,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
some from a lot of Canadian productions.
Yeah, we have a good Canadian contingent up there.
Indeed. So it shoots in Vancouver, right? Or,
It sure does. Yeah.
like a lot of CW shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a great city for shooting, and the rainforest, which is kind of the quintessential 100 image, that amazing forest with all the moss. I mean, that's just like you can't find that, in America.
Yeah.
Like it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. Environment. You have actually such a range of environment in BC.
Yeah. I mean, you and as you guys have seen, we've done the forest, we've done space, we've also done the desert, which we did also up in Canada, which was harder, but we did it. We have some more tricks up our sleeve coming. So,
well, I can't even believe that because you've raised the stakes every season. It's just gotten crazier and crazier, but still feeling very contained story-wise. Like it all makes sense. No matter how crazy it's gotten, it still makes sense. And aside from Bellamy, the characters kind of behave the way you would expect them to.
Mm-hmm.
we hope that the seasons, we hope that they evolve from each other, so that the stories all kind of can be traced back to that first season. But the world is just, we're now seeing more of the world. Like in the season 1, you come down with the kids and you basically are only seeing the world through their point of view. And as the show goes on, we get to expand the point of view, which not a lot of shows get to do that in terms of how we show the world. So now by season 3, we're seeing it from many different points of view. Different factions within both the Grounders side and the Arcadian side or Sky People side.
Yeah, meeting more of the Arcadians is very interesting, realizing that there are other groups out there that survived.
Yeah.
So I take it we will be meeting more than we have so far.
I will not be commenting anything like that. Nice try, though.
Yeah.
I can't see any reveals.
If any of our
if
any of our current viewers have questions, start writing them in now. There was a really weird one here that I won't even bother.
I think it's actually a show pitch, but it's not a question.
Yeah, wanting an Alien remake and Lexa and bringing Jon Snow into it, and that's not a question.
That sounds like 3 really good things all mixed together, though.
Yeah. As Ben Blacker would say, a question starts with a who, what.
Yeah, that's right. That's
who,
right.
what, where, when. So
Absolutely.
if you want to ask a question, join the chat room and fire away, and we'll be glad to ask Aaron your questions about the show or his career. And we're not giving away spoilers tonight, people. So
No.
We're sorry.
Especially before season 3's even. People don't even know how the season's going to end. So
I know.
It's like especially careful.
I can't wait for tomorrow night.
I should be all caught up by tomorrow night. It's like,
You got to do it.
No, I'm going to binge watch it tonight. So
I've been telling Miles all season. I've been like, "Have you caught up on the 100 yet?"
You got to do it.
No, I haven't. And it's like, it's crazy. You have to. We have to be able to talk about this.
Yeah, well, no. As of Friday, it's like I didn't even know about the AI.
Yeah.
So I've literally pretty much watched 11 episodes of this season in the past 2 days.
Right. Well, our show definitely has, been somewhat designed to be binge watched. Like that's, we do really, really well on Netflix. I think because every episode ends with such a huge, colossal, holy shit that you just want to immediately mainline the next episode as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm a big fan of this partnership that a lot of shows are starting to do with Netflix, where it airs on TV and the next day it's on Netflix. I think that's great.
That is a Canadian thing. That does not happen in the U.S.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So for instance, in the U.S., season 3 is not on Netflix at all.
Really?
Yeah, so if you miss
In your
it, you
face,
either
America.
no. So either you have to watch it on the CW website, or you can buy it on iTunes. Otherwise, you have to wait until the Netflix release, which they have not announced when that will be yet.
Really? That's interesting. I did not realize that. Wow.
We're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's give it to the Canadians, eh?
that's right. It's kind of it happened for season 2 as well, and I remember being like, those lucky Canadians.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, I've watched the entire series on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I don't think because I don't have the actual CW. And
Yeah, neither do I.
I think I did watch season 1 on a Canadian station before they took off that particular hour of CW network stuff, and it really angered me. And then I realized, wait a minute, it's showing up on Netflix the day after. Excellent. So
It's definitely a whole new way for people to watch TV. Like, it's definitely not the way that I watched TV as a kid. You know, if you missed an episode, you were basically screwed. Like, there was no way to ever find it again.
yeah, because you were usually stuck watching only the same 3 episodes that they would air over and over again.
Right, exactly. You're like, please rerun the one I missed, please.
Yeah, we kind of have a question. Mm-hmm. So, when getting started, who was your biggest inspiration, famous or not?
It is a good question. There was a couple. The person who really inspired me in the TV side of it actually was Aaron Sorkin.
Okay.
Back when I was trying to decide whether I wanted to move to New York and be a playwright or try my hand at TV writing, Sports Night had just come out. I'm not sure if you guys have seen Sports Night, but it was Aaron Sorkin's first show, and it was a scripted half hour that was single camera and it had a laugh track but didn't need one. And about halfway through the show, they got rid of the laugh track. But it is such an amazing show. The writing is Aaron Sorkin at his finest. I just love the show, and so I was like, this is maybe what I want to do. So that he was a huge influence on me in terms of TV writing. The other one was Joss Whedon, which I think goes for a lot of people as well. His work was seminal, frankly, to me. Like, I studied Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I studied those episodes. I remember like sitting and like breaking them down to try to see basically how they did the magic tricks that they did each week to do both these amazing monster stories, but also have so much character packed into every single episode. He's just incredible.
And the Buffy camp gave us some of the greatest television writers we have out there right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, when we had Jane Espenson on in our first year, just that was a dream. Just to have her on, and we didn't even realize that we just wanted her on because she had worked on Buffy and everything. It was Once Upon a Time at the time, but we had no idea she had worked with the Henson Company on dinosaurs and stuff.
Oh my God, yeah, that's right.
And wrote an episode of Star Trek TNG.
Yes. Was it TNG or was it Deep Space Nine?
Oh,
I don't know.
Memory fails.
I think her spec script was TNG.
Possibly, yes.
Good memory.
I'm wrong. Oh, we had another question. What's your favorite character on The 100? Favorite to write about and favorite in general?
Oh, interesting.
That's from Katarina G.
Well, Katarina, I don't really have a favorite character per se because I frankly I like them all. Like they all feel like family because frankly I spend 80 hours a week thinking about them. When I go to sleep, I'm dreaming about them. That's the way with all the writers. We just spend so much time that they feel like they're part of our family. So there are. I wouldn't say I have any favorites. There are definitely times in the seasons where I find myself wanting to write certain characters more than others, and usually that's because the story or the challenge that we've come up with for the character at that point is like juicy, and I want to like get my hands bloody with it. That said, I always love writing Clark.
Yeah.
I find one, Eliza is amazing, and she can make everything you write sound like so real and incredible. And all the actors are great, by the way. I do love Clark because she rides this line of being emotional and calculating. You know, she kind of plays both things at the same time. She has a bunch of emotion always running through her, but it's kind of underneath the surface as she's like trying to hold on to some semblance of control. And I really like that.
Yeah, she
And
does so well at playing stoic with just about to break beneath the surface.
always, right? Yeah. And then Murphy is, you know, I think of myself as you know, a smartass, you know, pretty pretty clearly a smartass, and he speaks to me. His
Yeah.
character,
I do love how he's went from being such a hateable character
yeah,
to you're kind of rooting for him now.
Yeah.
Like,
He's a
that's
survivor.
yeah, and he even says that
Yeah.
a few times this season is
Right.
I'm Murphy. What? How did I'm a survivor? It's what are you doing here? I'm surviving.
that is his core. That is his core. You know, piece is that he's a survivor. And then you know, in season 2, I think in one of the scripts we referred to him as a cockroach. Like you can't kill him. And he since then he's obviously changed. How we interpret him has changed, and now we know so much more about him, and now our feelings towards him have all changed. And as you know, to sort of spin that what I just mentioned, like those are the two that pop into my mind. But like as I was thinking back just over season 3, there were scenes that I wrote between, you know, Jaha, Isaiah Washington's Jaha, and Michael Beach's Pike that were incredible. I remember working on a sequence with Bellamy, with Bob, that I just loved writing. Like all of the characters are so different and require different parts of your writer brain, your creative brain to do, because they're very different.
We've frozen.
Yeah, we froze there
Well,
for a little bit.
There we go.
Oh, am I back? Am I back?
Yeah.
We kind of missed that whole last paragraph.
Oh, well, you can tell Katrina that I mentioned who my favorite was.
Okay, all right.
And I have to say, you guys do so well at either introducing a character or reintroducing a character into the situation, and you absolutely want them to die. And then something happens and they pull a 180 and you're rooting for them again. Like,
Yeah, well, that definitely is, you know, I think probably all TV writers, all writers want to do this. That gets the goal, which is you want every character to be three-dimensional, to feel like a real person. And in real life, like no one's just a really bad person. Like they have other qualities. So you might start out hating Pike or start out hating Murphy, but then as it goes, you start to realize, well, there's more to this person than I thought of.
Yes, we have another question from AJ Productions, and it is noob question. As of right now, what is your most favorite project that you have been involved with thus far?
Oh, that's a great question. There's a couple. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I couldn't be more proud of the 100, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be a part of it. Like every day I wake up and I'm just like so thankful that I get to work with everyone who I get to work with. To add to that, there was a show I did a couple years ago called The Good Guys that was on Fox that starred Bradley Whitford and Colin Hanks, and it was I think it's on Netflix. I'm not sure if it's on Canadian Netflix, but it's definitely on U.S. Netflix, and it's kind of like an hour-long comedy about these two cops in Dallas, Texas. And there was something about that show that was just endlessly rewarding and hilarious and fun, and I'm still deeply close with everyone who I worked with on that show. So those two might be the leading contenders.
all right.
All right.
I'm not even going to read that.
Yeah, we're waiting for more questions, people. So if you have
sure,
questions,
sure.
please get them up.
Do you have any questions?
Do I
Yes,
have
sure.
any questions?
I'm here for you.
The AI, of course. You know, where'd the inspiration for that come from?
Well, are you referring to Allie specifically, or are you referring to...
Well, yeah.
Because at the end of season 2, we knew that you know Jaha and Murphy had been on a quest for the City of Light
City
for
of Light,
quite a few episode. So we had known we were building up to that moment, and we had talked at that time during season 2 a lot about what the City of Light was, and we hadn't settled on AI yet. We had a bunch of different ideas actually, and as it got closer to filming, we realized we had to make a decision. We had to start figuring out what the last few episodes were and what that would mean for season 3. And one day, it was Jason Rothberg came in and he said, "Here's what I'm thinking," and he pitched us the idea that Jaha walks into this mansion and sees the nuclear warhead, and we realize that she might be an AI or she's a hologram of some sort. And at the time, I remember we were all sitting in his office, and I was like, "Oh my God, that is really not where I thought we were going. That is not where I thought the City of Light was at the moment." But the more we thought about it, we realized it was the natural evolution of the show, of the 100. And this season is exactly what the next step needed to be. So that's where it came from. And then once we had that idea, it was just like, everyone dove into Kurzweil and what it means to be an artificial intelligence and how close are we to AI. Because some people claim we've made huge strides, and then I can't get Siri to do anything. So I don't know. It doesn't feel like we're very close, but that is where the idea came from. And then we knew at the very beginning of season 3 how we were going to fold that into the Polis Lexa storyline. We always knew from the very beginning of the season that we wanted to have the middle of the season be the reveal that the commander was being controlled by a second AI.
Oh, that's really cool. Not really controlled, I guess, but
not controlled.
Made wise, like
obviously AI 2.0 is definitely an upgrade from the original, which is just turning everybody into zombies. Which was a nice twist, because like at the beginning of the season when the AI was introduced, it was like, wow, this doesn't actually seem so bad. And then just as it sort of expanded, it's like, okay, this is bad.
Yeah, the thing that we were trying to do is start the season and really kind of play the villain as the Ice Nation, and then pair that with basically Pike's sort of totalitarianistic sort of usurping of Arcadia and taking the power over. And while everyone is so worried about those two threats, the true season bad guy, which is Allie, is able to sort of get the upper hand.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of game we were playing.
Yeah, well, it's a very good unifying factor, because at the beginning of the season there are so many warring factions, both inside the group and outside the group, and further outside of that is fighting with the other, grounders fighting with the grounders, sky people fighting with sky people, and everybody blaming each other for what happened at Mount Weather. And you have this unifying factor that is eventually everybody's got to get on the same page or you're screwed.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing as we reach this end of season 3. Like Mount Weather seems like such a memory. Like it was such a challenge and such an obstacle to the characters, and like this season has really put them through such tests that like you're like Mount Weather, like, oh, that was nothing.
and at the time, that was a huge ordeal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now for it to just be abandoned and nobody can use it, it's.
I was sad to see those sets go. They were really fun to walk around in, because you felt like you were in some weird museum.
No doubt. I loved all of the old painting and sculptures.
Yeah.
And just antique furniture and memorabilia from just centuries of history all in one
absolutely.
place.
Actually, the thing that struck me was kind of that arched wall in the back with all the circles on it was like the inside of the TARDIS. the old TARDIS.
The old classic one, absolutely. Yeah, that would be probably an unconscious nod, if anything. I think it was not intended.
All right, well, we got 2 more questions.
Okay.
Stevie
Jackson, if you could write for any show other than the 100, current or past, what would it be?
Hi, Stevie. What would it be? Well, I have one answer. It's always the same. right now. This is current show. I love The Leftovers. I don't know if people watch The Leftovers. I think it is spectacular. I watch every episode with bated breath. It's maybe my favorite episode, my favorite television show on the air.
I watched the first season, and it was one of those shows where I wasn't sure if I was enjoying it, but it was so unsettling I kept watching it.
Yeah, it's not a fun show.
No,
but
not
I
by any
love
stretch.
it. Yeah, you definitely should dive into season 2. It gets even better. I cannot wait for season 3. I love it. So that would be my answer for current show. And there's so much good TV on that I feel like I could say, and people would be like, "Oh yeah, sure, Better Call Saul, The Night Manager." And there's tons of things that I look forward to. The Grinder. I'm so pissed The Grinder is canceled. I love The Grinder.
Oh, is it?
It's a comedy called The Grinder. Do you know it?
Yeah, no, I didn't
yeah,
realize it was canceled because I was
Yeah,
actually
sorry.
enjoying it.
Oh, it's so good.
It was nice to see Fred Savage acting again.
Yeah, oh, it's so good, so good. If I had to pick one from the past, it probably would be either. This is going to be really weird, but either West Wing, which that's not that weird.
Really?
Who wouldn't want to write for West Wing? It's amazing. Or maybe Twin Peaks, just because I'm kind of curious what that would be like. Or Deadwood. Those three. That sums up my TV watching taste pretty well.
Well, Deadwood is coming back.
I know.
And
They
it says
didn't ask
Twin
me.
Peaks.
Yeah, and Twin Peaks, yes.
Hold on, let me see. No, they did not give me the call yet. I'm here, you guys.
You need a better agent.
Damn it.
All right, let's see. Amy writes, do you prefer writing more gory or happier shows, and why?
Well, oh, great. I don't like gory. I'll say I don't like gory per se, and I know The 100 is gory. I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. It has some there's scenes that happen in this season and actually in the finale tomorrow that good God, disgusting.
Yes.
But I do like writing dark things, but gore is not necessarily my thing. So I guess I'd lean more towards happy things. I always like to add a little humor, which is few and far between in The 100 for sure. But that is definitely something that I lean towards, and I think we need to laugh.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's natural to tell a joke to break tension. So
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's what you have Murphy for, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's Murphy. There's a couple of people who in the show that can get away with a joke. There's not very many, but there's a few. We try to. Jasper can usually do it. Monty can do it. Amori can do it. So we try to squeeze the jokes in where we can.
Not so much Jasper lately.
Not so much lately, but that's true. He's going through some tough times here.
Yeah.
A little bit. We have about 15 minutes left, folks. So if you want to get your questions in and you've been nervous to do it, now's your time.
Oh, and one pops up.
Well, look at that. Aaron, can you talk about the countdown photos that were posted before the season started? Do they have meaning? Bellamy playing the piano?
Yeah, I'll tell you a little about that. So you guys might not know this, but before the season started, we posted a bunch of the cast holding up signs counting down the days until the show started airing. And here's the story behind it. It's a great question, actually. So I was up there in Vancouver producing. At that time, it was episode 315, which was the one that just aired. And we realized that we wanted to take these photos for promotional reasons, and the show was about to air. So Jason called me and said, "Hey, do you think you could take some photos on set of the actors holding these signs that say, not 10, 9, 8, all the way down to 1?" And I said, sure. So I got to set the next day to start doing it, and I only could work with the actors who I had on set that day to try to grab their photos, and I
Oh, we're having a few audio
myself
problems
as
right
a
now.
sort of amateur photographer. When I'm not writing television, that's what I spend my time studying. Uh-oh. Hello. Am I back?
You're
Am I
back.
back? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, good. Yeah. The internet. We love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I dabble in photography on the side when I'm not writing television. It's one of my hobbies, and I love it. And so I started taking these photos and kind of working with the actors and trying to find the most fun, unusual, captivating photo for the number that they were holding. And by the time I got down to Bob's, specifically to Bellamy's, we had sort of done all the fun shots, and like I had taken one with Marie, who plays Octavia, like leaping through the air with her sword, and Bob was like, you know what I want to do? I want to play the piano. And I was like, that is so weird. So he walked over and he sat down at this piano and started, tinkering on the keys, and I started snapping off shots. And the shot that I ended up grabbing, I mean, it just turned out, it looks like a painting. Like I honest to God, like I showed Bob and we both just started laughing. I was like, this photo is the weirdest, most amazing photo I've ever seen. And it doesn't mean anything. It just was the piano in that they took from Mount Weather and put into the Arcadia sort of mess hall. Right. So that's what that set is. But yeah, that's where the photos came from. And I presume for season 4 we'll do something similar. But they were a lot of fun to shoot, and they were just taken on the fly by me with the cast whenever I could grab them.
Now, can he actually play the piano?
I don't know if he can actually play, because that piano isn't really, it's not, not a real piano. So.
All right, well, thank you for that question, Meredith.
Yeah, great question.
Yes. I should ask, has there been any hesitation from the network with the sexuality of characters? Because it's been really natural in this show for like same-sex relationships, and I love how it's played as just not a big deal. It's just, that's how it is in the future. Get used to it.
That definitely is how it is in the writer's room. Like, all of us don't have an issue with anything like that. It's you love who you love, and that's who you are, and that's why it's reflected that way in the show. And the CW feels the same way. Like, they have never given us any notes or any thoughts or any concerns about any of that. That is definitely that's not a factor to us. Like, we try to both with gender and with racial divide, trying to, like, the 100 really pushes to make sure we have the most eclectic cast, people from all walks of life, different races, different sexualities, and no one ever references that in the show. Mm-hmm. We want it to be a melting pot where everyone's just who they are.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's very much what Gene Roddenberry wanted Star Trek to be in that way.
Yeah, it definitely lines up with that for sure. I mean, I think a lot of sci-fi gets the benefit of sci-fi is you have the chance to tell stories in a world that's different than the world we live in right now. And so despite the fact that the 100 is full of dark, twisted, painful moments, there's also the part of the 100 that is awesome, which is it's a world where that doesn't matter.
Excellent. I mean, we even had, Murphy and the Mutant.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So nothing wrong with her.
Break into song there. Murphy and the Mutant.
So, yeah, we have another question from...
It's just Meredith saying thanks.
Oh, thanks.
And
excellent.
The Bellark fandom was trying to find some symbolism in the piano picture. And she can't wait to see Bellamy and Clark in season 4, hopefully.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, there's no... I wish there was some symbolism. There's none other than it turned out... It's one of those photos. When you take a photo of some friends, it's kind of like that. And I looked at it and was like, this photo is so good. I don't know... I'm not even patting myself on the back. It was a moment in time. I captured it, and now it will be forever remembered as Bob playing the piano for some reason.
I should ask, what is the 100 writers' room like? How does breaking story work in there? Because I have to imagine if you're working with the board system, that's got to be some crazy intertwining.
Yeah, our room, the writers' room is pretty big, and it has we have a big staff of writers. We have last year I think we had 13 people. I may be wrong. I'm just right around there. We'll say 13, maybe 14. I think we'll have similar this year, maybe one more. So it's a big room,
especially for a show that only has like 16 episodes.
Yeah, but don't be fooled. Writing one episode of the 100 takes a long time, and
no doubt.
we scrutinize everything. Like we everyone on the show has a little bit of OCD. I think we get down to the minutia. Like we want to make sure everything is absolutely perfect, or and we want to hide little Easter eggs that will set up story down the line. I mean, it's really an intense process, actually. But the way we do it is we spend the first part of the season really talking about what the season's going to look like what is the story going to be, and we kind of figure it out in broad strokes, and then we start telling it bit by bit. And it takes, about a week to 2 weeks on average to just figure out what the story is before we even start writing. And then a writer will go and write it, and goes from there. We do use cards. We have index cards. They're stuck all over the walls. We have a few ink boards that also we use to jot down big ideas. It's a real mess. And we have a lot of adult coloring books. People might not know. For some reason, a bunch of the writers got obsessed with adult coloring books. So if anyone has a really great adult coloring book recommendation, tweet it to me. So we need to get some more in the office as we start tomorrow.
Nice.
But
I think
yeah,
Ottawa has one coming out from local artists.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Ottawan.
Yeah.
Ottawa. We also have actually an Ottawa burlesque coloring book that's coming
We'll
out.
take them both. We'll take them both. We don't judge.
We'll send one your way if we can find
Yeah,
it.
I don't know the link for that offhand, but I'll post it on our page.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how people, because there's moments people, maybe people assume this, but there's moments when you're working in television where you're talking and you're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this happened, and then this could happen, and it's like all these ideas flowing, and then all of a sudden there'll be a moment where you're like, how the hell are we going to get out of this problem? And then everyone just sits in silence, and we're all sitting there like, oh man, we're so screwed. Like, how are we going to get out of this? And during that time is a great moment to grab an adult coloring book and just start coloring. maybe it'll get your mind thinking.
Yeah, we get that when we're trying to write our radio play. We'll be hitting it, and then we'll take 5 minutes, and then we'll go, that all sucked.
Yeah. What do we do?
I like some of the ideas, but it's not a story. How do
There's
we
def-
break
yeah,
that
there's-
into a story?
There's definitely times, even, we've had like moments where we thought we'd finished a whole episode. For season 3, we had an episode, we thought it was good to go. We thought it was done. The next, we were so happy. I remember we left the office. We were like, we crushed it. Next day, we got to the office. We were all in the writer's room looking at the cards on the board. And we were like, I don't think this works at all. Like, I don't think this works.
Yeah.
And sure enough, by the end of the day, it had all come down. All the ideas had fallen. We were like, back to square one. Back to square one.
We can't. I know you can't answer this. It's can't wait to see Bellamy and Clark in season 4. Will Bellamy play an integral role with Clark in the finale? Find out tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I can answer that to some extent. Tomorrow, I mean, it's we're at the end. People are excited to see, and it's going to require every single characters. They all have to work together. Everyone who's not a part of the Alley Army, the City of Light, will have to work together if they have any hope whatsoever to survive.
I think Clark and Bellamy have always been an integral part of each other's
Yeah.
characters.
They both
They seem to fall apart when they're not around each other.
Yeah, and the characters are intertwined for sure. There's something about they're drawn to each other in terms of their leadership qualities. And Bob and Eliza have incredible chemistry. I mean, it's just, you can see it on the screen for sure.
Yeah.
Maggie May wants to know, can we get some info on when and why Jasper took the chip? Was it at Luna's oil rig?
I can clear that up a little bit. Yeah, it was at Luna's oil rig, and it had been, it's been a long time coming for him. Like, he's been intrigued by the chip for a long time. So that's what we get to see, and like, hopefully he does a big monologue in episode 315. So I'm so sorry, Miles, you're going to be spoiled about that. But,
all right.
But in that monologue, when he speaks to Jasper, when he speaks to Monty, he's kind of explaining why he chose at that moment to do it.
Yeah.
So if that's a question for that listener or that viewer, they should go back and listen to that monologue. That's explaining it. We tried to not show it on screen because we didn't want to tip our hand. Mm-hmm. So that's why we didn't show it. But we hoped to try to get into his head at the end. That's definitely Jasper speaking and explaining why he chose to do it.
And Maggie May also wants to know if we will see more of Luna next season.
I can answer that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That one falls into that I can't answer. But Maggie May, so you liked Luna? That's really the question.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy her? Because I definitely thought she was great.
I did too.
She's a fun new character for sure.
I'm just catching up on the questions here, but yes, Stephanie Cruz. I second Meredith's question. Will season 4 be smaller and focus more on the core group?
Can I answer that? I don't think I can answer that. I mean, I think we want to focus on the core group always. It's definitely that's the heart and soul of the show, and we know it. Mm-hmm. So that will always be our focus. But the show will, our show just keeps getting bigger and bigger in terms of its, what we're trying to do and what we're trying to tell. But I think people will be excited by tomorrow and be curious about where season 4 is going to bring them.
I've not seen it yet, and I'm excited for tomorrow. And Miles has got a few episodes.
I'll be all caught up
Miles,
tonight.
you're so far behind.
Yeah. I'll be all caught up tonight.
And everybody is saying we love Luna.
Oh, good. Yeah, Luna has been a character that's been mentioned since season 1.
Yeah.
We knew we wanted to introduce her at some point. So I'm glad people enjoyed her, even for just one episode.
Have you ever thought to write the 100 twin series, something like the Grounders make crossover or flashbacks?
The answer to that is we talk about it a lot. Actually, it's we don't have a green light to write that. We don't have that show on the so that makes it harder to do it. But definitely, we have those moments when we're in the room. Where we come up with something that's cool, that's related to the Grounders or related to something that happened in the history before the show has aired, mm-hmm. And we're like, oh, that would be so awesome, and we kind of file it away. Like we know it can't fit into the current season, but it's like, well, maybe if it ever happens, we have so many stories about the Grounders and about what happened before the Sky People landed that I think would be awesome. I think a lot of the writers think would be awesome, but it's not actually ever been pitched or sold as a television show yet.
Right.
Well, actually, I'd like to just make that correlation between the 13th space station, which was destroyed, and then them being brought in as this 13th tribe.
Yes, that's right.
It seems very significant.
Yeah, it's something that was, we'd been planning. That was one of those things where we were like hoping it wasn't too cute. Like we were wanting those parallels to be clear, and I think it's part of the story we're telling for sure. That there's similarities between the two.
Great.
Vivian wants to know: will there at least be a bit of hope to latch on to tomorrow to survive the hiatus? No.
I think I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
Oh.
I think her name's Vivian. Vivian, you're gonna really love the finale. It's I rewatched it today, and it's fantastic. It's really, 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 really good.
Wonderful.
And Meredith Smith again. Do you think
it's a different Meredith this time?
Oh, it's a different Meredith.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yes.
We have a lot of Meredith fans.
Do you think we'll ever have more ARC flashbacks? I think you kind of just answered that, saying that there is stuff that you do
have
like to
filed
go
away.
back to and have filed away.
We always here's our rule, Meredith, and which is not going to really answer your question, but maybe it will. I don't know. Is that we only do flashbacks if it can tell the audience something new, something they didn't already know. So we're always open to doing them, and we always wait for that moment when we realize, oh, we can tell a story that can surprise the audience, can share something about a character that they didn't know. That's when we would use a flashback. So I wouldn't say there's no hard and fast rule about when. I can't say yes, we guarantee there'll be more, but that's why we use them. So if the story takes us there, we'll use flashbacks.
The answer is it's not lost.
It's not lost. That's right. I love the flashbacks, but it's true. We really want them to feel special. Like when you at the end, you feel like you see people in the present differently than you did at the beginning of the episode.
Mm-hmm. No, this season I was actually surprised when we started getting some of the flashbacks to the arc, and yeah, they really helped inform, who these characters were before they got to the ground and why maybe they changed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness, we're pretty much over our time.
Oh,
But
geez.
there's still questions here, and we didn't get this last time we did a live stream. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Let's see if we can do some like speed round stuff. I'm not
I'm
even
ready.
gonna get to
Speed
ask
round
some
me.
of the questions I wanted to. Okay.
I'm braced.
In your opinion, what was your favorite episode to write / film / watch?
Oh, I loved filming Rubicon in season 2. That was just a blast to do. I love all of them, but that was, for whatever reason, that one was a great one. And to watch, oh geez, I don't have an answer to that. I love them all, and I just watched the finale again today, and it is really really good. I can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah. All right. Basically, Maggie May here is asking if we're going to see any other cool monuments or stuff that have been destroyed throughout the wars, but you can't tell us that.
I cannot.
Exactly.
I cannot.
All right. And Meredith Smith said, "Thank you. I love those scenes."
Oh, great.
Yeah, and sorry for mixing you up with Meredith Rudd.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you both, Meredith.
Yes.
Great questions. Great questions.
All right. Well, we have gone over an hour now. So thank you so much for joining us, Aaron. It's been an absolute
my pleasure.
pleasure. And maybe we'll have you back on, when season 4 starts.
Absolutely happy to come back.
And we can ask you all kinds of questions that you won't be able to answer.
Miles, you better be caught up by then.
Oh, I'll
You
be
better
all caught up.
All right. Thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you, everybody who joined us in the chat room. We
Great question.
already answered when the premiere will be in the opening, approximately February. So
right.
people
That's
are
right.
still asking questions.
It's fantastic. Well, that's awesome.
And
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Great.
Are there going to be more clans? We can't answer that.
Yeah.
everybody is now thanking you for doing this.
Oh, great. My pleasure. My pleasure.
And tons of thanks from everyone.
Yeah. So, and thank you people for being in the chat room and watching us live, and make sure you subscribe because we're going to be doing these more and more often. So thank you again, and
Yeah, thank you guys.
we will let you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll catch you on the flip side.
Fantastic.
Cheers.
All
Bye-bye.
right. And from everybody who's been watching, thank you from us.
Yep.
And,
Thank you so much for tuning in.
and until next time,
Roll end credits.